coronavirus cases continue to creep up. New York City braces for the second wave of a pandemic to strike. New data shows that the city's jails are overcrowded, making social distancing impossible. Take a look at some of these numbers, okay? On Rikers Island, dorms at the AMKC and OBCC facilities are at 85% and 52% respectively. The Vernon C. Bain Center in the Bronx at 87% capacity. The Manhattan Detention Center, also known as the Tombs in Lower Manhattan, at 67% capacity. And talk about timing of it all. 2 jails expected to close at the end of the month, which could lead to even more crowding issues. So the head of the Correction Officers Union going to court now to try to stop that from happening. COBA President Boscio Jr. joining me live this morning to discuss this. So good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, Dan. How are you? Thanks for having me. Happy Veterans Day to all our veterans.
Indeed, happy Veterans Day. So let's get to it. Did these numbers obtained by the Legal Aid Society alarm you, or have your members been sounding the alarms about overcrowding throughout the pandemic?
Well, we've been sounding the alarm for quite some time. I mean, I testified back in September at the City Council hearings and the Senate hearings about the way the department dropped the ball the first time, trying to sound the alarms that we prepare for this second wave that is upon us right now. You know, we pleaded with the department not to close the 2 facilities they're intending to close. We ended up having to file a TRO yesterday to block the jail consolidation plan that the city has. And a judge agreed with us. Judge Anna Cully granted our TRO yesterday.
Yeah, so what does that mean? The union filed and you won this restraining order to, block the city's plans to close those 2 jails. So what comes next then?
Well, what comes next is a hearing on Thursday to decide further whether the TRO will stay in existence. My question to the city of New York is, are the jails on Rikers Island or throughout the boroughs exempt from the restrictions in New York City? As you spoke about the housing capacities, there's only 2 jails that are under 50% capacity, and one of them is where we only house women, and that's why the low count is there. But the Vernon C. Bain Center, for example, in the Bronx, is, as of yesterday, they were at 92% capacity. So 92%.
Let me ask you this, because at the height of the pandemic, there were 576 inmates who tested positive for COVID, 1,430 correction officers. Now, when we last spoke to the Department of Corrections in September, they said there were no jail-based transmissions or any new COVID cases, I think dating back to May 19th of in-jail transmission. Is that still the case? And could that be why they're not really moving quickly on your demands here?
I don't believe that to be true, totally. I mean, we had a couple of cases of officers already testing positive. And I don't think
recently?
Yes. I don't believe they're forthcoming with those numbers. I mean, look, the chief of the department testified at the same hearing that I did, saying that she would not have housing areas over 50% capacity. Why, if we have the space, if you keep these jails open, you could spread out the inmate population and have 15 inmates in each housing area. It's a recipe for disaster, Dan. They can't put financial constraints against a head of public safety. Our lives matter. The inmates' lives matter as well.
Of course. And so you're referencing those new cases, Benny. Do you know how many there are?
I do not know how many there are. I know that I've heard about a couple of correction officers actually testing positive.
Okay.
But, why not get ahead of it? Let's prevent it. Why are we waiting? Like, they want to take measures after, if people start getting sick again. They were going to open the visits also, which would bring more people from the outside to these facilities.
So your just to be clear here, 3,930 inmates, that was the jail population over the summer. That has now gone up to 4,690 in jail. So the numbers are going up in terms of more inmates. We're seeing more of an inmate population. What is the end game here for you? Is it just to halt the closing of those facilities, or is it to open all of them and kind of spread people out?
It's more about safety of correction officers and everybody else that's in the facilities. If we're supposed to social distance, why are we exempt from New York City? This is about lives. 8 correction officers passed away the first time around for the first wave of this. And now the mayor's, sounding the alarm, all kind of warnings out there. Oh, we're about to shut it down. So why are the jails exempt? Where are all the inmate advocacy groups not yelling and screaming about the closures of these jails? We tried to get the Legal Aid Society to join us on this TRO, and they respectfully declined. So, I don't get it. I get the whole close Rikers Island movement, but this is about lives here. Now, during the second wave of COVID, we want to close jails? And consolidate us? What sense does it make?
So basically you're saying let's not do that right now in the middle of the pandemic. Visitors, are they still allowed to come onto the island or no?
No, they were going to open the visits back on November 4th, and we had some concerns that we were in meetings with the department, and now the city has stopped the visits from reopening as of now.
Benny Boscio Jr., I do appreciate you coming on this morning to talk about this. Let us know how Thursday goes. Keep us posted, okay?
Absolutely will. Thanks again for having me, Dan.
Thank you very much. And we did reach out, by the way, to the Department of Corrections to get their side of the story and a statement on the overcrowding issues. We are still waiting to hear back from them.